After Hours is back, talking Indian motorcycles and whatever the hell else we think is cool. Don't mind my No Shave November day 2. Be gone by day 3. You guys, I'm happy to be here. You know, Curtis Sawyer has all these issues. He has not been able to make it lately. He's had nothing but problems. Well, not today, baby. Today, Curtis Sawyer is in the house. Oh, there we go.
What are you doing to me? Hey, how are you guys?
It was a tease. It was a tease.
Dude, I have problems? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, you've had some problems. Like, I think that's a fair definition of your summer.
Oh, my summer. Oh my God. How about the year 2021?
I mean, you had some problems and missed our ride.
I did. Yeah, that was upsetting in a way I can't even describe. No, it's been when I set out to do what we were going to do this spring back in April, the show had been on a big rise through the early part of the year and through the winter before that. And we were really excited to get out and meet people and see what was going on and come to some of these events and, to dealing with the RV and all the things that went with it and learning learning the whole way along. It was a tough year.
Yeah.
And then of course we came back to the Springs. We were waiting on a home to be built that we now have had to step away from because it's not going to be built and finished on time. And there was some issues behind the scenes with it. And so now we're still living on the ground.
Yeah.
Still kind of living in flux.
Yeah. You're in an Airbnb right now, aren't you?
Yeah. Rented a house up here. Yeah. Rented a house in the foothills here in Colorado Springs. Mostly just to, get a little break from the RV because as it gets colder, you spend less time outside. Normally when you can live outside most of the day, you don't notice it. You're busy doing stuff and I can even work outside in most cases, but 25 degrees in the morning here in November now. So I gotta be a little cautious how I do that.
Yeah. I bet. You got some riding in last week? Did you?
I did. Yeah. My bike got back from getting a little extra, a few extra little touches being done. The Elite Noir had the 116 big bore kit put in it. So I'm going to go back and kind of miler, but got to spend some time on the road and got out a little bit. They have some other parts that they're waiting on to finish the bike out finally, but we're almost there. So it's going to be a fun reveal when that comes out.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't want to talk about it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's just a few of the key pieces are missing. So it's without the pictures and the visuals of it being fully done, it seems a little moot, but
I've seen some pictures of it in Pikes Peak. They're the ones that did it, right?
Yeah.
My boy Tito and all that and his crew.
Yep.
Yeah, they did a great job a lot of it's it's good. I've seen it.
The late in the season, if you know how my RV is built, it has a drop door on the back of it that acts like a patio, but it also is a ramp to ride up in and get the thing in the back of the unit. And late this summer, I was offloading the motorcycle and that ramp twisted. It wasn't secure on the ground. And I hit, kind of hit the deck as we came down with the bike. And so it needed to get some touch-up work done. It needed a few other things just finished out. And no sooner did I get it back after they recoated the entire exhaust. Okay. They went into that whole Bassani exhaust that I have on that. They went back and recoated the whole thing.
Right.
I was on it maybe 20 minutes, scrubbed the paint off of it again. So,
I like how you're
working.
Anonymous Biker is in the house. What's up, AB?
Hey,
me and AB, we have yet to hook up.
Is that right?
I tried in July. I was literally headed north. He was headed south, and it just wasn't going to work out. So my goal for next year is to, I don't know, maybe I should just go crash his place. He has more than one bike. I'll ride the Kawasaki. I don't even care, AB.
Right.
Just saying, be careful, because in the comments he says it doesn't even get cold in Minnesota. Well, I would suggest you could come up here and ride mine, but maybe I'll just go to you and ride your Kawasaki.
Or wait a minute, it doesn't get cold in Minnesota? I don't think that's true.
It's already cold. I think it was 25 when I woke up this morning.
See? Yeah. Same as about 6,000 feet here. And it's going to warm up over the weekend. We're back in the mid 60s over the weekend, and I'm going to get out again and get that last 500 miles on there so I can get the thing back in and, oil change done and get it re-inspected and be ready to ride. I'm really excited about that because one of the drawbacks of what we did all summer is I didn't get to ride as much as I would have wanted to. I got to ride at some of the events, but I'm also there to cover them. So it meant not getting out on the road as much as I would have liked. The downtime in between events, though, I really enjoyed that.
I
Really.
think, well, first AB said he told me to come on down. You better warn his ass right now.
Right? Come on
Don't
down. Right.
don't say that to Fish because
Right.
I'll show up. You know that.
Right. So if you're AB, anybody else just joining us, there's only a handful of you guys. Would you quickly and smartly go out and share this with everybody? Tell them we're here because
There's
you know
that.
one of the we got some stuff to talk about, and you know obviously you've got a bunch of questions for me, and that's why I'm here, and that's what we wanted to do. But today was one of those days for Indian Motorcycle where I think a lot of us held our breath, and something big was supposed to happen, and it didn't, and it did all at the same time.
So yeah. So okay, I'm gonna so I listened to your most recent podcast, you know I always do.
Okay. Thank you, Isla.
And I wish we need to let me like be the fly on the wall during the interview because you missed something.
What's that? What did I miss?
In the interview with Tyler O'Hare,
What did I miss?
he mentions he's running the
112.
112
Yeah.
versus their 131, and you let it go.
There's a reason for that.
No, there's not a reason.
Yeah.
No, there's not.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about, but you could have been like, whoa. When did you switch to a 112? You were not a 108. Last we heard you were running the 108 with the SNS cams and the Indian Air. What else have you changed?
So you want to start there? Okay.
Yeah. Damn right. Because I mean,
right.
like King of the Baggers.
Okay, King of the Baggers it is. This last podcast episode, I had Jared Means on. Obviously, he was an American flat track national champion now and had an amazing season. But because the King of the Baggers series is now going to Daytona, and it was familiar ground, very familiar ground to Tyler O'Hara, I wanted to get back in touch with him and see what he thought about that. Well, yeah, he let slip that they aren't running just the stock trim that you and I can go buy, but this 112 thing, I think it's been in development a longer time than we know about. SNS has been working on obviously getting as much out of the bike as possible. And I'm sure that Indian at some point had in its evolution a big bore kit for that engine. So I think that what you're seeing is a lot of the development and testing that will be coming out in something that will be user friendly and ready to buy. And there's a couple of companies out there now already working on kits that should take it up a little higher than that.
Yeah. Well, so Milwaukee Indian, I'm trying to upload something.
Yeah.
So if I look a little distracted.
Are you distracted? That's okay.
I'm not. I was listening to you. So let's talk about this. So first of all, not that I have any insight,
right.
But I have some pretty good friends down there at Lloyd's Garage. And,
yes, you do.
These cams sound like they're pretty damn nice. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you I do not have them in my bike.
Well, the new camming for the Challenger motor in particular is pretty unique. And I think it's part of the reason why these cams are made a certain way, that it's not just going to be every Tom, Dick, and Harry that can go out, copy a set, and keep punching them out.
Yeah,
they're made specifically to create certain circumstances in the motor, and they're not as easy to mimic as you would think.
Yeah.
And so everybody is finding out that if you're going to do this thing, you're going to have to do all the pieces together.
Yeah, well, I'm not telling you
and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I'm not telling you I've seen a dyno sheet or two, but it's actually coming down to tuning at this point. They're trying to get the tune correct into that ECU. That's a whole nother conversation. Man, we got a lot of Challenger talk today. If we're not careful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, so the cams look good. I think they're pretty close to launching them. I would assume by spring, right before that the season jumps off, they'll pop off on that.
Yeah, I would expect to see that so that they can do them remotely in say Daytona or wherever.
Yeah, and then Milwaukee Indian actually has the big bore kit, a 117 big bore kit for the Challenger.
I can't help myself. These are the people that drop in to see us.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Hey, I missed it.
Welcome to the comments. So,
jeez Louise.
Get a show we running here, bro. Is this a family thing, or are we just walking around here?
Here, I will block them.
Yeah, get rid of that.
There we go. Got it. So, Anonymous says that they need the 108 in a scout type setup. I mean, I hope they put it on something smaller, I mean, like the Chief, or I think we all want that. I think we're getting the Chiefed in.
Now, when you say smaller though, what are you referring to? You something maybe like what has been talked about going forward forever is this Pursuit and this new,
so that would be like
type bike.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would work.
what little I know about that motorcycle and what has been leaked about it, and I don't mean just the patent photos. I mean, there's a lot of things that have come out around the concept ever since Victory was making a pretty dramatic inroad into police and other, municipality type use for their bikes, right?
Yeah.
And so Victory had made some major inroads with, police forces and departments all over the country that were looking to make a change. Primarily, they wanted something a little bit bigger. Some of those guys are larger riders, and they also wanted something that was a lot more, in terms of overall cost to operate, was lower, right?
Right.
So Victory was winning that war, and suddenly there is no Victory. So a lot of what that pent up, process of what had been laid out in front of, you know, police departments all over the country now is finally getting a shot. And that's why I think you're going to see this bike released again, because it offers a lot of different avenues the bike can go.
So would you compare it to the Chieftain then? Is it the Chieftain or like a Springfield?
No, it's very Chieftain-like, but I think it's going to have a different, edgier kind of feel, a little
like
more,
the Victory, like the Magnums.
perhaps. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that can't go wrong. So let's talk about 2022 Indian motorcycles. There was a Victory thing that came out today. What did you see when you saw that?
I don't know exactly. I looked at this lineup, and
I'm gonna tell you.
Go.
The orange.
Oh, yeah. Riot Orange.
They pulled that right out the Victory closet. That orange.
It's like, hey, didn't we try this once before?
It worked real good. Nuclear orange or
yeah.
whatever.
This is something that, I talked about it in the little live piece I did on Instagram earlier, but this is something I'm a little bit bothered by, because every year they bring out this model review, this model overview is what they call it, where they talk about trim levels, what's available in terms of accessorizing, color choices, primary color choices. The icon colors obviously come out a little bit later and really are reserved for, you and your dealer to talk about. But every time they do this, it's always been with something new involved. Here, I think it's just a matter of adding tech and trim and colors. And I didn't get what was missing is what spoke louder to me.
Right.
That's, Brian Remington did a great video from Two Indians, kind of highlighting all of the things that are out there now in 2022 models, right?
Yeah.
But the glaring thing that I think I was drawn to is that it was just one more indication that Indian is moving away from that vintage heritage customer and moving now into a modern customer base. And it's the right thing to do. It's just, some of us who have been around the brand since day one, we're going to miss seeing some of these bikes in the lineup because they were so iconic,
Yeah. Well, somebody made a point, and it was one of the dealers jumped on the chat board today and said, hey, don't forget, a lot of times the heritage is released closer to spring.
Right.
And I think today, you know what today was? I'll tell you what I think it was. It was the opportunity for Indian Motorcycle to say, we're listening.
Sure.
Hey, Challenger owners, we got your back. You wanted better fit and finish and better paint. They probably watched my review video, and the first thing I said is, the paint's all right, but it's not fit and finish of a Harley Davidson.
No.
And I don't know, man. That red with the black under the fairing and the black on the bottom side of the tank and the bottom, that looks pretty badass to me. And the fact that they got glossy dark horse, it looks like it's glossy dark horses. I'm like, dude, I think they've been listening.
They have been, and they've been listening for a while, because go all the way back to 14, 15. Those early bikes had they had beautiful colors, but some of the softest paints you'd ever want to see on a motorcycle. And some of that was to create that softer, more heritage look and feel, if you will. The bike would patina a little quickly, but it didn't ride with modern riders. Modern guys that wanted modern colors, modern looks, it wasn't going to fly. And it's a little overdue, because for years they've been showing off just how well they can paint. I mean, look at the Elite Series, look at all the specialty bikes they've done, the Jack Daniels bikes. They know how to paint motorcycles. And bringing it now to the rest of the lineups and pushing some of that down further into the lineups, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I think the Challenger being what it is, it really did need that bang. I think
it needed a prestige look, and it needed to have that higher trim level too. The Challenger Limited is really the kind of motorcycle that now they're aiming at guys like myself. If we were to look at a new bagger again, would we lean that way? And chances are good, yeah, we would.
Yeah, I still don't know why people want it. This guy makes it 602 North says, hey, they got the new lowers for the Challenger. That's
Right on.
yeah. I mean, so now you can get a trunk.
Okay.
You can get hard lowers.
Yep.
All the heated and cooled. Well,
Right.
heated grips, heated and cooled seat.
Yeah.
I
Now, see,
mean,
but I look at that in terms of, okay, what is that telling me about what they want to do next? Okay. When you trim out that motorcycle that way, you could almost expect that at some point there's going to be one that comes with all that stuff on it.
you would think there'd be a
You know.
Challenger Tour or
Yeah,
something.
a full-blown touring model. And
Yeah.
if not, dealers are going to build one.
Yeah.
Now they have all the components to do it,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing, because I think that bike over time will become that flagship touring bike for Indian Motorcycle. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, or unless this next one, the Springfield or the Scout was one. I mean, I don't know. I just rode that Sportster S.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this: every Harley person needs to say thank you to Indian Motorcycle because they stepped up their game.
Yeah.
They brought that Sportster S, and
Yeah.
what comes standard on that, the amount of power and what it's doing. I made a joke in my video and it said it's like the FTR and the Scout had a baby.
Oh, it is. It's absolutely that. And moreover, it's now proving that Harley Davidson says, okay, you can set the bar as high as you want with that motorcycle. We're going to come up behind you, and we're going to use the technology we already have and had for quite some time. We're just going to morph it into something now that modern riders can see going forward. It was overdue for them, and I'm glad they did it, because it's a hell of a motorcycle. It's amazing.
Yeah. What is your favorite color that came out? And I'm asking everybody else in the chat too. What did you have a favorite?
Well, you know that I really liked that kind of red crimson color that was on the Roadmaster that I rode last December, right? When we were down south. I like that color on that bike, but I'm now I'm going through kind of a blue phase. I don't know what it is, but that blue azure that's on the Challenger now, and the colors that they've moved into now, I like a lot. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I don't know what kind of like a grayish blue, or I want to see it in person, but do you have pictures up? Can we show the audience?
My pictures are trying to load actually, but
okay.
Yeah.
Garrett likes that red. Hey Garrett, are you talking about the Challenger red with the little bit of black? I think it's called I think it's an Icon. I don't know, but it's blacked out motor, blacked out everything.
Yeah.
It looks like a glossy red with black. I could probably just screen share and get this stuff up, but then you're gonna see all my unorganized tabs, and everybody's gonna be like,
unorganized tabs. Come on, whatever.
Dude, I got so much stuff going on in here.
That still up there? Can we throw some money down for Thursday night?
Dude, I got fantasy football up here. We know I do.
While you're searching,
I went 7-0 this week.
Did you really?
7-0, yes.
Wow.
Yes,
okay.
I'm in the big money playoffs.
Nice. While we have a minute, while he's doing what he's doing, all you guys with RidingFish on his YouTube channel and all his subscribers, thank you guys for your support for our show too. It's been a lot of fun having you guys along for that, because every time I turn around, once in a while, I run into somebody who goes, "Hey, you're Fish's guy," and so I love that.
They're lying. They're lying. Well, my boy Bob calls you
Riding Chief.
Yeah, Riding Chief. There you go.
Yeah, Riding Chief.
We need to make like a IRR RidingFish collab t-shirt, and I don't know what we can do, but we have to figure out something.
Well, if we even put our faces, our logos, anything even
our face.
Well, if you put pictures of us on a t-shirt, okay, or you put a t-shirt on us at all, yeah, you got to get up closer if you're going to shave. Yeah, if we're going to do that, we have to like give it to charity. There we go. In the helmet. Enough said. Are we going to get you a new helmet?
Dude, I think I'm going to have to get a new helmet, but nobody has wild ones like this. And,
no, I know.
And I'm kind of struggling. I mean, I actually reached out to Icon and I said, do you guys have one of these
sitting
leprechaun helmet.
someplace. Yeah,
Yeah, like hiding in a closet or something. Like that's kind of my
right.
thing, you know.
It is.
And there's a lot of blues, and I don't know. I'm struggling, but I definitely need a new helmet. That bad boy has like 50,000 miles on it.
Yeah, you've been around with that. That has been around.
Yeah, and maybe it's 40, but either way, at that point, are we really counting? Oh, my boy David is in here. He's in the house.
Hello, David Garrett. I see you all 2 wheels down,
Yeah,
Springfield and the FDR. Okay.
Springfield and the FTR. The Springfield with the 108 motor would be like the perfect bike.
Okay. What if this? What if? Okay, you've seen and you're familiar with the Suzuki M109R, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Brandon Picasso has
yeah,
one.
he loves power cruisers, and I do too. I have a thing for power cruisers. When I was younger, I was fascinated by all of them, right? Especially the early Kawasaki ones were really impressive. Long story short is, I think that with the foundation you have now, with the Challenger frame, Power Plus motor, air cooling or liquid cooling, all that kind of stuff on that bike, you might see that kind of shoved in that market, that niche that where that M109R is. You might see a stripped down, bare bones power cruiser,
Like a Chief kind of, maybe with a big old fat
Chief-esque,
tire.
yeah, very
Yeah.
very much like a Chief, only stripped way down. And then this next, what you'll see first, maybe though, this fixed the fork mounted fairing bike, the Pursuit is what
The
everybody is referring to it as.
Indian cross country. I mean the Pursuit. That's what I meant to say.
It may be. It might be a lot like that. I'm not holding my breath that way. I think it's going to have a little leaner feel to it.
Okay.
I think they if you notice with the Chief, the new Chief in 2022, it would have been really easy to make that a bigger, bulkier, longer raked motorcycle and aim it right at Dyna guys, right?
Yeah.
Would have been great. Instead, they bridged the gap between the Scout people and the former Chief customer, that bigger, heavier cruiser.
Yeah, I think they did. They still tried hard to go after the Dyna people, and the way I say they did that was they gave that Chief to Carry Hart. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
And he made one that looked like a Dyna.
Absolutely.
So,
but he's always done that street style, club style of stuff. He's just taken it to a higher level color wise and tuning level wise.
Yeah.
But it does speak to the ability of that motorcycle to bridge a couple of different audiences. I think you're seeing the same thing over time now with this Power Plus Challenger format, because it can be a power cruiser. It could make an incredible power cruiser. We've seen what it can do on a racetrack. Strip everything off of it and see what you get. Yeah. Not to mention that it then lends itself to a little bit more of an intermediate size rider, perhaps in a different format. Again, maybe something like a Chieftain, sorta.
Yeah. North 602 North. I would have bet that's his area code. Is that your area code?
602 North.
Riot Orange Smoke. I think they used to call it that nuclear orange.
Nuclear orange.
Yeah, it looks so similar
to
that.
The sunburst orange that they did too. So not like the Harley Davidson one, which had more yellow in it. It was very orange. This looked like, children's aspirin.
Yeah, AB. So Indian Pursuit is like the victory cross country, and is what we're assuming. It's supposed to drop around, I think, Daytona time is what I
would suspect. I think
the rumors.
And I talk about this in the podcast, this current podcast, is that if you follow the timeline, Indian kind of got out of its rhythm because we had a couple of these COVID years where people couldn't be certain places and do certain things. But it's very familiar for them to introduce something brand new, allude to it, highlight it a little bit at their dealers meeting. Now, in the past couple of years, those have been done remotely. They've been either done as video presentations, or they've been done as drop in and hang out type stuff. And dealers don't take the time to do that. But by physically going to Minneapolis, seeing the stuff firsthand, doing all that stuff, can't they get a better name than Pursuit? Boy, yeah, they could.
Dude, you know what? I don't know who does Indian motorcycle names, but I thought the same thing with the Challenger.
Right? And now now we wouldn't call it anything else.
Oh, yes, I sure would.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah, like I don't know, like the Indian Tomahawk, or like just chopping heads. That's what that bike does. It just chops heads. I got that new exhaust put on.
Yeah.
And actually I got it. I got that little video uploaded.
Oh, roll it. Yeah.
Should I roll it now?
Well, let me finish my one thought real quick.
Yeah. Finish your one thought, but I'm just going to forewarn everybody.
Yeah. They go to the dealers meeting and it's a live thing and they have all these presentations. And
that's in January, yeah?
Yeah, it's in January.
Okay.
Now, with few exceptions, they might take your cell phone from you. They might make you put them in one of those bags or whatever, but that's pretty limited. And you know that everybody gets talking about it after the fact and you hear about it. So much like they did with Challenger, I think is what you're going to see next, is they made a big rollout at the dealers meeting, and the following spring, there it was in Daytona. So I think you're going to see the very same thing.
Yeah. And I hope that's true because I'm going to be in Daytona. Who's going to Daytona? Everybody.
Going to Daytona.
Are you going to Daytona? Are you going to tell me you're going to go to Daytona? And then I'm going to get down there and be like, where my boy at? And then you'll be like, I'm stuck in my RV.
Yeah, I'm trapped in my RV. No, I'll be there. I will be there.
All right.
Mark my words, I will be there.
RJ
602 North's going.
Yep. Anonymous says Super Scout. So here's the thing. I've been talking to a couple of dealer friends, Bison. Not gonna lie, those are my boys. And they actually kind of made a suggestion that that Super Scout that you're asking for, AB, is the FTR motor inside the Scout platform.
I would not be the least bit surprised because that's another one that if they ever do want to step down in size, they already have the format in place for it from the flat track bike.
Yeah.
Granted, it's going to take a little bit changing, but nevertheless, you have that motorcycle available to punch that motor into that type of a frame and that type of a layout. Suddenly now you have a bike that is about as versatile as they get. I mean, intermediate size with all that power. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that's true. Jeff Baca says he's going to be in Daytona. Dude, you know what? Jeff and I we're going to get a lot of each other this next year. I already booked a trip to Maggie Valley, which happened to be right before the rendezvous, Durango rendezvous.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We talked a little bit about that on the pod too. Is that after 2 years, finally, Skyute Casino in Durango and a variety of other people that were involved with the rendezvous over the past basically kept knocking at Terry Kinnett's door and said, look, we'd love to still have you guys back. Is there any way we can do this? And as he started talking to some of those guys, especially the Skyute Casino, and a lot of riders too, who, had voiced an interest in wanting to be a part of the thing and not having had the opportunity of gone in the past. But now looks like with everything laid out, it is a go. You're going to be in Maggie Valley the week before that. I'm going to be set up with some, pre-Durango activities here in Colorado Springs, and then we're going to be down there June 15th through the 19th.
Can you guys do post-Durango? I started thinking about this.
You want to do a follow-up thing? You want to just come hang at the end?
Maybe I could just come fly out there, and I will grab a couple bikes from Pikes Peak. AB can come out. Jeff can come out. If I flew out to Colorado Springs, you pick me up?
Oh, yeah.
Limo or just like back of the pickup truck?
No, I mean, this is pretty much an Uber X.
Okay. All right. That's all right. Just take me straight to Pike Peak. Put me on any motorcycle he wants, except for a 111, because we know I don't really love the Thunderstroke 111s. They're not my favorite motors. A 116 I'm good with.
Okay.
A 111 with some big cams, we can make it work.
You got to ride mine then. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Colorado visit from Jeff Baca.
Yeah, there we go. So AB, I reached out to AB and I told him, hey man, I'm going to be in Maggie Valley. Can you reach out or come out? And I'm going to be most of the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group Kansas City is going to be there.
Yeah.
And then I'm bringing people from here. So, my friends that you guys have seen on videos before and Bob Cole, he's going to go down there. Most everybody's bringing wives, I think, So I was going to say one more thing. Oh, FTR motor in the Scout frame, game set match for Sportster. Actually, I think that's what the Sportster is. I think the Sportster is the FTR motor in the Scout frame. I think like that's game set. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Let me roll this little video real quick just because
let's do this.
I want to see how it turned out, but I had to lower the video quality. It's going to look garbage. Everybody's going to be like,
bring it.
I'm a hack YouTuber. All right, watch this. Here we go. Toast Performance. What are they all about? They're known for their sport bike exhausts. I wanted to know how they're going to do a Challenger exhaust. So I rode out to Connecticut to check out their facility and see their way of putting things together, the quality they put in, and what does billet aluminum even mean? How is it that they take a block of aluminum and make it into a piece? It's incredible. And if I was going to make an exhaust for my Challenger, yeah, I wanted to see how it worked. So they helped me every step of the way. We worked together as they fabricated and made an exhaust for the Indian Challenger. Because I wanted a 2-to-1 with a great bracket to hold up my bag. As I was there, I also got to see the innovation that they're doing with things like the FTR. Look at this, single-sided FTR with the single-side swing arm with the FTR. I couldn't believe how good everything was. So we proved it to me. We threw some exhausts on the dyno on my Challenger, and we looked at the numbers and analyzed, is it actually making more power? Yeah, it was incredible. A great time by those guys at Toast Performance, Ryan and Dan. So here is a clip. Coming soon to a video near you.
Well, does it get any better than that, really?
What was it? What did it? You were there. What did it take me? 35 minutes to put that together. I'm the slowest damn person of all time.
No, seriously. Okay. You haven't ever seen,
I got the greatest
yet watched me try to edit video. Okay. It's literally comedic. I mean, if somebody like you were to stand over my shoulder and watch me edit video, you would beg me to take over. You would just push me out of the way and you would take over the keyboard, and that would be that.
So what you guys are missing here that are watching, I call it pregame. We always get on and we start talking about what we believe we're going to talk about, which never, it works for like 5 seconds, and then we'll like hit like a couple star topics. But anyway, as we're pre-gaming, for once, I'm not prepared. So I go, hey, I'm going to share screen. You can just help me edit this. I can't see what you're doing, Curtis, but I know what you're doing. You're just waiting for a moment that I need to respond, and then you're just in the back. And I'm like, how does that look? And you're like, it looks pretty good.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I know that you're in the bathroom yelling. Yeah, looks fine. Yeah. I wasn't
in the bathroom. I was getting coffee.
Oh, my bad. So AB says I'm a YouTube star. Yeah, right. Here's AB is a good friend, just like Curtis. I'll send Curtis a clip before I make something live, and I say, here's that video I just did. Yeah. So it's a 20-minute video. About 4 minutes later, you tell me back, say, "This is awesome." I mean, bro, you haven't not been able to watch my video.
The beginnings. If I don't respond early, I will not respond at all.
You just can't. I want honest truth. You can't. Well, the first 4 minutes is good, and the next 16 minutes must be great.
Look, what can I tell you? I'm terrible at it. Yours really, though. I mean, anymore. The videos that you do now have such a different feel and vibe to them, and there's such a different dynamic to them. They're so much cooler than they ever were, because you brought in a different element just in the way you produced them, and they're super fun to watch. Don't blame me if
I like how you could tell the future.
Oh, I can. Trust me.
It's good, and I'm just giving you a hard time, obviously, because I know a lot of times you come back later and you're like, hey, you gotta,
I do.
What did you say this time? I build after 15 minutes. I said that's when I build too.
Yeah, I dropped out halfway. Oh, you too? Okay, all right.
So it was cool. So that Sportster S video, just real quick, if you guys haven't seen it, I dropped it or whatever, but it was pretty cool. Faribault Harley Davidson. I just went there with Minnow one day, and they said, "Hey, would you be interested in riding that Sportster S?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny, because I was here to take pictures of it."
It's kind of what I came here for, but thanks for asking.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna ride it. I was gonna take pictures of it. Yeah. So I haven't really. They've always been nice, but I've never asked them for anything. I've just kind of went there. I eat their free food when they have like get-togethers. Sure. I have a trophy right there above my thumb for a dyno shootout that I went to. It was pretty awesome. But anyway, so they asked me if I'd be willing to ride it, and I said, yeah, I'd be willing to ride it. I'd love to. And they said, would you talk about the dealership? So what is there to talk about?
Is this annoying?
You're just kind of out the screen just a little bit too much.
Is this annoying?
Yeah, that's you, and you're like, yeah, looks good.
Yeah, this is awesome.
And so I asked them, what is there to talk about? And then they started telling me about the dealership. I thought it was pretty cool. Woman owned. Now, not that should be surprising, right? Because
Right. No,
like I hope Minnow owns a dealership someday.
I
But
think
it's
you.
cool to point it
Yeah.
out, is all
Oh,
I'm saying.
absolutely. Because
It's
let's
kind of
face
like
it.
when we have a woman president.
Yeah.
I'm not going to celebrate the fact that we have a woman president because I think we could have a woman president any day. Like, it's kind of like champions, right? Win and act like you've been there before. You
Sure.
can't fucking celebrate every time you do something because you should act like you know you're supposed to be there. But anyway, so we talk about that. Thought that was super cool.
Yep.
And then I asked him one thing. I said, "You have a dyno in house. You got to let me put it on the dyno." I don't. Without
Now,
even barking, they said yes. But
pause real quickly right there. That's it. They're sticking their neck out a little bit.
I know.
You got a motorcycle that's out there that Harley Davidson has, talked up pretty big. I mean, in their own marketing, they've talked it up pretty big. Okay.
Mhm.
Scout owners were already thumbing their nose, and you couldn't resist putting the damn thing on the dyno and then sticking that dealer's neck out, and they went with you.
Yeah, they had faith in that bike.
Ideal. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
and
it was great. Yeah, watch the video. But I mean, it's FTR-esque numbers. That's really impressive.
Wow, that is impressive.
Yeah,
So,
and I think
size category. Wow.
yeah, I mean it really. Yeah, I mean I have it right here.
Are you then? Does you? I'm not going to steal your thunder. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I was really happy. I was happy with it.
I'm impressed. Sports
yeah.
is a beast.
I thought I should have maybe made it 2 videos. But you know what? I was so wrapped up in editing it that I just wanted it to be one.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't do a good job at closing up my thoughts on the Sportster S until I was standing with the sales manager, and that was all at the same kind of time. So I was like, you know what? Okay, this is my show. I'm gonna roll with it. Yeah. So they're super cool. And the owner she emailed me. She said, "Hey, it looks good."
He makes the point right there. You got a ton of motor packed in a little motorcycle, and for some of us, doesn't matter how cool that is. If it's too small, it's too small. Just saying.
It's not that small. How big are you, AB?
It's just so tiny.
Because dude, I'm like 6'11", 300. No, I'm 5'10", 230, dude. I'm like, boy, I went to California last weekend and I ate so much Mexican food. I haven't lost that 15 pounds of salt that I ate. I'm telling you.
Good. But you went out mudding. You went out, tough
tough muttering. Yeah, I'm actually gonna make a video. That was a great time.
So can I go back to? He's
6'12". That's also 7 feet, but whatever.
6'12", yeah.
Probably 6'2". I don't know.
One of those.
I'm 6'13". That's 7'1", but yeah.
I want to go back to that point though about we're in our 7th model year, right? Everything came out in 2014. And you look over what we have now in the 2022 lineup and what we now know is coming to that lineup, right?
Yes.
So there's now only 2 motorcycles in the lineup that will have the balance fender and the original looking bags. And that's a stretch. The Roadmaster and the Springfield. The vintage, gone.
Or unless it comes in the spring, or unless it's a later release. What if they do the vintage at the 108 motor?
It doesn't fly that way. That bike is aimed at air-cooled, old school, brown leather fringe guys for a reason. Because there will always be that guy.
Yeah, but what if you have like all the fringe and leather and tassels and shit, and like Reinhardt's on the seats or whatever?
Yeah.
All the bedazzling, and you just put a really good motor in it. Can we agree that the Challenger motor is a better motor than the Thunderstroke motor? Can we agree to that?
No.
Damn it. I knew that was going to be your answer.
No, you can't get that. What you can get from me is that both motors are the best in their category. In terms of air-cooled V-twins, the 116 Thunderstroke has no comparison. In terms of liquid-cooled V-twins and the raw power that they produce, the Challenger is head and shoulders above everybody else. The Power Plus motor is better in that regard.
I think the Thunderstroke's better than the Milwaukee 8.
Oh, no question.
Yeah,
in
I
my
think so.
opinion. I mean, it's just a better motor all the way around.
I'm gonna look up something real quick that
Okay.
AB asked
But
me.
what I'm pointing to is
Yeah,
that
you carry the show for a
all
second.
right, now I got this. Um, I got nothing. What I have is that when you see this incremental walking away from this heritage bike look, right, and moving into the new Indian motorcycle, um, I still question if that is too much too soon. If there isn't still an audience and a loyal buyer for those other bikes. Now, I realize, again, they do appeal to guys that are dramatically older, generally speaking, and they're not buying a ton of bikes. Okay. Nobody, they're not going to buy 3 or 4 or 5 more over their lifetime. And I realize that Indian and Polaris have to go after this new customer. They just have to. The younger rider is the future. But it does feel like they walked away from the rest of us a little early. Okay.
Yeah.
Because now I have a 2019 Roadmaster. Granted, I've done a lot of things to it. I've made it a very unique motorcycle. But knowing now that they aren't going to create the bikes that drew me in the first place, I'll never part with it. I can't part with it. Because what I bought an Indian motorcycle for is what it is. And now they won't have those.
Yeah.
They're
gonna have it.
But you're not that guy. You're not the 1901 guy. You're not that.
I'm not
dude.
the 1901 guy. Remember I told you one time they could take all the 1901s off my bike and I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't even
Remember I
notice.
said that?
It'd be gone.
Because it's kind of funny. I don't want to give away a video that I'm working on right now because it's actually it's kind of it's in the process of getting ready to be shot.
Okay.
I'm gonna hint to the world that it's the opposite of me.
Really?
Yeah. It's gonna be cool if we can make it work. I'm supposed to shoot it this weekend. I have a buddy. I'm using his bike. It's I have an FT. Now this is a tuned.
Okay.
I should probably figure out how to cut out. Hang on, this one. I gotta screenshot this and cut this out for a second because the people that sent this to me, I don't think they want me to show everything.
All right. Okay.
So this is gonna be
this bike you're gonna ride.
So this is a tuned FTR versus a stock Pan America. Oh, you're not gonna be able to see it. Oh.
Not very well, but I get the idea. Oh,
so the top line is the tuned FTR.
Okay.
Anyway, 101 feet-pounds of torque and 123 horsepower on this guy's dyno. And it's it's a conservative dyno, actually, to be honest with you. And I do believe that this dyno is a little extra. I think
You think that?
I think it's a little bit giving.
Okay.
Only because now I've had my dyno, or I've had the Challenger on 3 or 4 different dynos, and so I'm starting to get an idea of where my numbers kind of are.
Sure.
And we've all talked many times about how one dyno to another, your numbers are so weird,
with any internal combustion engine, it doesn't matter what it is and at what level. It doesn't matter if it's IMSA racing or Indianapolis, Indy cars or F1s or you name it, motorcycles. When they go on the dyno tuner, it has to do with everything from temperature, time of day, air density, you name it. All of that has some effect on it. And sometimes just in the way that the dyno reads versus not necessarily the engine's performance. So it's a very, the guys that can really do it well, the Ryan Randalls and those guys that can really dial that kind of stuff in are fascinating to me because it seems to me like it's always just a little bit of a guess.
Yeah. I had a dyno guy say, your bike is making this power compared to my dyno right now, and you compare it to other people that are running it. That was which was interesting when I was at Toast Performance, because I said, I may be willing to switch exhaust. I love Tab. I only wanted one thing different. I wanted no more ghost pipe.
Okay.
That's it. That was my whole thing that I wanted. And I wanted a freaking sweet ass bracket that looked stock. I didn't want this hunk of junk that Bassani puts out and some of these other guys are putting out. Bassani makes a great exhaust, but man, they need to up their game on their bag support.
Oh, no question.
Yeah. And so I actually, when Toast reached out to me and said well, what are some of the things you like or don't like, or what are you thinking? Anyway, so I told him,
Right.
It has to make the same or better power. I'm not going to take less power for an exhaust muffler. I'm not interested in that.
Well, no, and I'm finding out the same thing, with the Elite, when I decided to finally go to the 116 and do that versus just kind of walking my way up. That the exhaust came into question again. Is that Bassani exhaust going to be the right connection for that motorcycle?
Yeah.
From an aesthetics point of view, it looks like it was made for it because it's very custom looking. It crosses over in reverse. Honest to God, though, it doesn't necessarily bring the kind of power even that I would have expected out of a true dual. I know I'm not getting everything that the motor can do using that, but it doesn't really give me that feel.
Right.
And
So,
moreover,
somebody explained to me the benefit of non-true dual, because I used to be a true dual guy too.
yeah,
And he says that when the one pipe, when they come together, right? So even if it's a 1-2 to 1 or whatever,
yeah,
when the one exhaust exhales, right, and the other one is inhaling per se,
hmm
and then it exhales, the one exhale is actually creating a suction
yeah,
to help the exhale of the other pipe. Well, then they both run together.
yeah.
So when you have the true dual, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have it. What is it called? Is it called scavenging?
I think so. Yeah,
I
air
think so
scavenging from
too.
one to the other. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you
And
also
so,
don't. But you also don't get, for example, when you're riding two up and you're loaded up, when you downshift or engine brake at all with a conventional exhaust system, you have enough back pressure that it causes the bike to lurch. Okay, the bike can lurches harder.
yeah.
Now, and same is true when you're accelerating hard. Each shift is a little, more like this versus smooth. So when you can deliver the power still to a pretty great degree, okay, with a true dual header, what you eliminate is some of that choppiness and chunkiness in the throttle delivery,
Yeah.
especially when you're two up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
You and I don't care if we're doing it at 150, but your passenger does at 55,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
thing.
There's nothing like bumping helmets. Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
Bang.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah.
why am I doing this again?
I'm like, hey, girl, use that backrest.
It's so much fun.
I'll tell you. So, Minnow, when she rides with me, when she's looking left and I do that, she
Yeah.
taps out because we have communication.
Click.
I had to teach her, yeah, you got to tag back in. All right, let's see what we got in the comments real quick. Yeah, because we were talking about, let's see. Craig. So
Yeah.
So my issue is my toast thing is we actually dynoed my bike with the 2-to-1 from Tab,
Okay.
took it off, switched the stuff, put it back on within 20 minutes,
Yeah.
25 minutes, something like that. Cause I was like filming and stuff. We had it back on the exact same dyno the same night and ran it again. So the change that I got
Mm-hmm.
was true. That is a
Okay.
true thing. And by
Okay.
the way, I think his dyno is also a conservative dyno. And I asked him
Yeah.
about that, and he said, we don't really care what these
Right.
numbers are. We just need to see change. He goes, when we're fabricating head pipes and we're fabricating cones and shaping, for all their head pipes and their muffler designs and all
Yeah.
that. He goes, we don't care about the number, we care about the change.
Right.
And he goes, it
And
could be conservative. I say, brother, I think it's a little conservative, brother.
but he's making a good point, and that is that I think, and I've always thought this, and bear with me, but these guys who spend hour after hour, day after day, chasing that another 100, that other horsepower or wherever it may be, that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 more horsepower, you're missing the point. You have to have usable, deliverable power. Okay. There are so many variables involved with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether it be your size, whether it be what you ride, whether elevation you ride at, how much time you spend changing elevations, what kind of a sound do you want out of your exhaust, what kind of fuel do you run, how cold is it that day, how warm
Yeah.
is it that day. I
Yeah.
mean, it becomes such an ambiguous number that guys that are looking for just the bragging rights, I think, are missing the point. I think what you want to do is ride your motorcycle, and does it provide, as they say, the right change for you?
Yeah.
Does it do the things you want it to do? Because in the end, that's the objective: is we're going to go out, and we're going to enjoy our ride, right? We're going to enjoy what the bike does. If I get hung up in the numbers, I could be standing there at the parts counter throwing money at a problem I can't solve.
Yeah. I mean, AB, he rode a 1920 Scout with the sidecar. I bet
Oh,
it didn't
cool.
have any
Yeah.
power at all per se, and was an awesome ride.
Yeah, my lawnmower has more power than that.
By the way, AB, you're getting closer to what I'm doing this weekend, I think. Hopefully.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hopefully. Hey, Big Gabe's in the house.
Big
By the
game.
way.
Oh, and Ken
Yeah.
Tatum stopped in too.
He asked, what the hell did I walk in on?
Yeah. See, look, okay, here we go. Harry sums it up. I enjoy hearing these guys debate in old school versus new school. Yeah, that's no kidding.
Yeah.
What do I got on you? 30 years?
Let's see. What was your
Yeah.
dyno with the tune after the tune? Hang on a second. Let's see.
Greg DeWerf, what was your dyno with the Chandler Raptor tune? You know, whatever he says, it's going to be just something, right? He's going to pick stuff out here. While he's looking for paperwork, our new podcast episode, it's in, it's cool, it's nice. Jared Mees is with us, Tyler O'Hara is with us, IndianRiderRadio.com or Buzzsprout.com or Spotify. Check us out. Also, hey, wait, are you still looking at this dyno sheets?
I'm ready, man, actually.
Okay.
Go. What do you got there? What is that?
Okay. I got a little giveaway thing going on at online.
Throttle Addict?
On Facebook. I'm now a brand ambassador for Throttle Addict. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Throttle Addict is kind of this retro cool kind of clothing line. Got some kind of graphic tees, hoodies, all that kind of stuff. They sent me a sticker pack, and then I was going through some boxes, and I found one from Roland Sands Design that I picked up in Laguna. So I have these up for grabs. Enter to win on Facebook. Check those out.
Shit. Cool.
Yeah. They're really cool stuff.
What is that? What is the Throttle Addict thing? What
Throttle
is it?
Addict?
I know what it is, but what are you giving away? What is that?
It's a sticker pack. They've got a couple of these
stickers. Okay.
Sticker packs that they have. They've got all kinds of really cool retro designs that they do. So,
all right.
Like it.
So go back to Craig real quick. So he asked about. So when I got back from Minnesota a few weeks ago, my Faribault Harley, they had a Harley shootout. And so I joined the 106 to the 114 class, and I won it.
Nicely done.
Yeah. So disclaimer, there was one guy that beat me by one. So what we did is they did it all. Yeah. They combined horsepower and torque to get one number.
Right.
And there was a guy that beat me, but he was their engine builder that worked for Harley, and they didn't allow him to join. But he had a 110 Screaming Eagle 110, and he had a big board out to. Is it a 112? Do those go to or 114?
You could punch them all the way up to 114 pretty easily.
Yeah, I think he had his up to a 114, and then of course it was like, what is it? Polished and ported heads.
Yeah,
the dude did. Yeah. So the fact that he beat me by one with a bigger motor, I was actually super proud of it. So here's my dyno sheet, and I'll just show it to you, and then I'll read it. Okay. But my bike on their dyno on this day did 116 horsepower and 125 feet-pounds of torque, and that's with the Toast Performance exhaust.
Wow.
And the Lloyd's Garage tune.
Okay. Speaking
by the way, that's a whole tuning. Are we talking about tuning?
Well, you just kicked the door open. Let's do it.
Yeah. DynoJet
draws. I'm hearing now about this DynoJet tune.
So I actually, I've only read a little bit.
All right.
There's about 5 guys that are blowing up every forum that have it, right?
All right.
Which is fine because I was one guy blowing up all the Lloyd stuff when I had. So I don't know anything about DynoJet. It sounds good. Everybody sounds good.
Okay.
And you've heard the same thing, right? That
the feedback I'm hearing is that it adds a little low end grunt. It kind of reaches a little deeper into the torque range, gives you that little low end feeling. It seems to be pulling some really serious numbers up here at elevation.
Yeah.
Pikes Peak has been playing with it a little bit and doing some stuff on their own and kind of testing.
But it's just crazy to me because I know the guys at Pike Peak said that they didn't hear anything or feel anything. Sorry, I gotta block this. Are we getting
spammed again?
Yeah. Does that mean I made it? If I'm getting spammed, does that mean
I think it does, and I also think that you probably have somebody that's kind of piggybacked your signal in a Russian gulag someplace.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah. When they had tried the Lloyd's tune and different setups that they'd been working on, and especially when they were working on some of the stuff that was kind of factory, the factory kits, there wasn't big dramatic changes in Challenger performance.
I just don't know how that's possible.
Well,
Like I rode both too, but here's the crappy thing is Tito. I consider Tito like I consider Tito a friend, like a
sure.
real
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
And also I know he knows his shit. And so it's really
Yeah.
hard for me to argue with somebody that when I trust them. But
Right.
there's no fucking way in the world that he didn't feel some benefit of something. There's no way. I
Oh,
mean, the
no, no, no.
fact that I went out and I raced to stage 2
Yeah.
and I beat him.
Yeah. No, I don't think they're discounting that at all. I think what they're saying is that one of the things you have to remember here is that it from day to day at 6,000 feet, you can have air densities that are dramatically different.
Oh, the barometric pressure,
Yeah. I mean, just air density
barometric
alone.
pressure.
It's the oxygen content in the air. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and that's pretty dramatic day to day. Now, it's one of the challenges you have when you're living at elevation and where we do is because, yeah, I'm going to tune my bike at Pikes Peak Indian Motorcycle at 6,100 feet above sea level. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow that could tune entirely different just because tomorrow was, yeah, the barrack, something that had nothing to do with
Barometric
anything
pressure.
else could change
Yeah.
that circumstance. So it's really hard sometimes to feel the dramatic changes that these bikes can have and the tunes can have when they just don't have the air to breathe.
Right.
Okay.
And I understand how that works, and
Yeah.
I understand that. I just thought it was crazy that he didn't feel any difference. So I don't know, but I will say, but the Dino Jet sounds like everybody that so far has. You see, for me to do
Yeah.
that, one is I'd either have to get a second ECU and send it to them.
Sure.
I don't really want to do that.
Right.
If they wanted to send me one, I would give a side by side fair comparison. But
Right.
I doubt they want to do that. Who the hell am I? And I'm not going to send them my Lloyd's one and have them tune it, and then I get back not saying it is, but I'm not going to do that and then get back a shittier tune, and then here I am calling my friends at fucking
And
Lloyd's.
doing it 3 times over. Yeah, I follow
Right,
you.
I'm not doing all that. So,
Um,
but I will say this: Lloyd's Garage, they beat everybody to the crack,
yep.
right?
Yep.
And then this last week, so Dino Jet dropped, was it last week or 10 days ago, maybe? Let's just say
Something like
2
that.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Followed by the news that Lloyd's goes, oh, by the way, we now have remote tuning centers. So
Right. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
13 live centers, I think it was 13 I saw, with like 30 or 50, including non-United States tuners,
Yeah.
are going to actually be able to do it in-house, so people don't have to send their stuff. I
Right.
will say that I had a person email me and say they charged me 2 hours of labor to plug in my ECU. And he went to so I'm kind of like,
Okay.
that's a bit much, bro. I mean, I get it, but that's the
Yeah.
one. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I thought that was a bit much.
Yeah, and it goes back to you, whoever you are riding your bike. How do you want it to feel? How do you want it to perform? What do you think it should be doing? Because honest to God, it's always been this way, whether it was the next new thing that came along for any motorcycle, it might just not be the kind of thing that works well for you.
Right.
I mean, this is why I see these guys get into heated debates online about, this is the only thing to do. This is the right thing to do. Hey, do you like it? Does your bike perform well? Do you enjoy how you ride your motorcycle? Yeah, then shut up.
Yeah.
You
How many people would have paid $1,000 just to lift the speed limiter? I would have.
most.
Well, maybe not 1,000, but $799.99.
Yes, yeah, a sub-$1,000 deal to be rid of that. They would have done it over all day long. Yeah.
And so now the fact that people are like, well, I'm saving $100 by going to Dino Jet. All right, well, I'm not,
And again,
I don't
I
know.
think a lot of that comes down to splitting hairs and what you like. Now, if you can consistently show me, and I think that this will happen eventually, that one will eventually outperform the other for whatever reason.
Yep.
Great, show me. But until then, I like to see whatever works for you has kind of been my methodology. I talked to a guy recently. Matter of fact, at the barber shop, we were talking about that Challenger tune, and he went to the Dynajet, and he said, based on what I've experienced with it so far, it brings out a little more torque. It takes a lot of those other challenges that we're familiar with Challenger away. He did say it helped the cold startling and idling, so I can't argue with that. But he really didn't talk about it in terms of top end performance.
Yeah.
He's not that guy. He wants the bike to perform well, but he's not out to be the biggest guy on the block. You know what I mean?
So Salty says a buddy has a stage 1 bobber. It pulled away from me pre-Lloyd's tune. Post tune number 1, I held neck and neck with him. I just got my back. So okay, so what Salty's talking about? So tune number 2, it's beast mode.
Right.
So Salty had advanced timing, had a
Okay.
little bit of like a spark knock, and he sent it back to Lloyd's. They, I guess, retarded his timing, or so I'm assuming, right? I'm not a.
What was it?
I didn't get in
Was
the
it a
ECU.
pre-fire? Was it? What was the bike doing, Salty? What was it? What was it really doing?
It was the knock. It was like
like a pre-fire. Yeah.
Pebbles hitting. Yeah. So and Salty and I had communicated that for a long time. And Lloyd's knew too. He just had to pick timing that worked for him.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's what he's talking about. So once he got it back, see, tinging and smoking. Damn.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But Salty, is it good now? I mean, it sounds like it's good if it says tune number 2 is beast mode. But yeah, I mean, and that's one thing about this ECU that's a pain. You can't do like a little bit, it's all requests. It's all dialing in those requests and then advancing timing on heavy acceleration.
Yep.
And it's awesome now. So, and let's see, Mr. Roguelide 20 says, why don't Harley and Indian just make a liquid cooled 130 cubic inch or something that makes 160? Well, Harley makes that their 131 makes somewhere in that, 140 usually,
right,
but it's not going to be long. I don't think, because I think, doesn't the Vance and Hines King of the Baggers bike make 150 horsepower
someplace in that neck of the woods? Yeah. I mean, at the crank, obviously, but you're talking about bikes and motors that there comes a point of diminishing return. Okay. The bigger and heavier and broader you go, the more you do to these things, the more you're getting less and less performance, less and less return on investment with every big purchase you make.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that people have talked so highly about the Lloyd's tune or any tuning when it comes to Challenger is simple. Is once I have that tuned correctly and I can get the most out of the bike that way, I don't have to break my neck going out and buying cams and intakes and exhausts and all that other stuff. I can be in pretty good shape with pretty much one step. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope the Dynajet is pretty much the same way. And I suppose it would be when we're talking about similar technologies, but it's really very subjective when it comes to how bikes perform underneath you. Okay.
Mr. Roguelide then follows up the statement with instead of having us all need to consistently upgrade. So I can actually tell you why. I have a couple words to this statement. I'm going to piggyback this by one of my complaints about the Jack Daniels Challenger is that it didn't come with stage 2 cams.
Right. Yeah.
And I got told by the reason why in a dealer's perspective of why that would be an issue. And this guy has kind of like ends with Indian Motorcycle.
Okay.
And you are way more into than I am. So correct me if and where I am wrong.
All right.
So when these bikes are passing EPA standards and regulations and all these rules, when they're coming, one of the things that they go over is horsepower, torque speeds, all this. And it has to go with like power to weight ratios, tire speed rating, all this stuff, right?
Correct.
So when you are bringing these to the table, you set up a stock thing. My understanding is if the Challenger, if it came with stage 2 as like straight from the factory, they'd have to go through a lot of those hoops over again. Where if they keep it as an add-on, it's just that. It's an accessory.
Yep.
You don't have to go through the, I'm guessing, Department of Transportation's and EPA regulations and rules. And my guess is, Mr. Roguelide, is that's why we're not getting these V-twin heavy ass bikes, 900-pound bikes with 160 horsepower stock rolling
Guys,
on.
yeah. You got to you have to realize that you have to tune that bike for the most part so that it can be ridden any place on the planet. Okay.
Yeah.
Now there are different things for different regions. I get that, but you got to start out with a template that is EPA or potentially EPA or all of those compatible across the
Mhm.
board. So every time you change an internal function in it, whether it breathes differently, times differently, something, you got to go back and prove everything else, because around the world right now, around America, there's places that you might have to have your
Hey,
motorcycle, smogged.
California is one.
Okay.
I'm sure New
And
York.
yeah. And as a result, that bike has to be able to pass those state inspections. And you know what that's like. It's not easy all the time. And
Yeah.
if you change anything, now you've changed it dramatically, and all of a sudden you could have a motorcycle you can't get licensed in your state. So
Yeah.
the OEM is trying to do its best to get the most out of the motorcycle based on what it's going to have to do over time. Let's go back to that for a second. People that are running Thunderstrokes, okay, are finding out that they have shopped around, they have looked around, they've been everywhere, and what they're finding out is they can't get a better header pipe than the one they put on that bike from day one. Now, we all want to think that that's bullshit, but they can understand throwing out the exhaust can, but they put some serious time and energy in the engineering of that piece. So, again, that's all to make sure that things, one, work the way they're supposed to and meet EPA guidelines.
Yeah.
But if you can do both and do it effectively, like they did in that case, not
Yeah.
bad. Not
Yeah.
bad.
And then not only just EPA, just the Department of Transportation, the safety part
Oh, yeah,
is when
yeah,
you have such a heavy bike, it's kind of like people will say, well, that doesn't make sense because the Rocket 3 has 210 horsepower, right?
Right.
But it's quite a bit lighter bike.
It's
You
a bike
know,
designed and intended to carry that weight and speed.
yeah, and like the cargo and the max weight isn't the
Yep.
same.
Yep.
I mean, you're not riding two up with a trunk
No,
and two full bags,
no,
and 8
no.
pounds of quarters put in both hard lowers,
Right.
to get through the tolls.
Right.
So
Well, and think about that. Just think about what kind of stressors that puts on every other part of the motorcycle. The more you create more torque, the more you create any number of different internal motor changes that are performance enhancements. You put higher demands on tires, brakes, forks,
mhm,
fork seals, you name it.
yeah,
Every single other wear part takes a beating. Tires, okay?
yep.
And
But
guys,
that's why, because if they're going to come out, if they come from the factory, there's all these rules that have to
right,
be regulations that have to be met. And if they don't come from factory like that and they're add-ons, then it's completely different. And you get to avoid some of the Department of Transportation
right. You don't get slapped in
regulations.
harder as often.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why Road Glide, that they can't just come stock like
Yep.
that. Let's see. We got here, Harry Howell. My next step is a wide auto band tuner similar to the Power Vision if Lloyd's came out with that. So here's the thing about the Challenger is it basically has that.
It does. Yeah.
It's built into the ECU, which is why you can't exactly do dyno tuning on the Challenger. It's because it's basically set up with an auto tuner built in where you're setting parameters
Correct
for air fuel ratios.
Yep.
And so, Harry, I'll real quick is you're setting a parameter where you want your air fuel ratio for what you have,
right. Yep.
Judging by your, how much exhaust is going out and your intake that you're able to take in.
Mm-hmm.
And they will adapt to itself, and it's setting the parameters. So the problem is, as stock, you have to run super lean to keep emissions out of the way. Sorry, I got Tyson right here. That fool's like crying. He wants to go to bed. It's 9:30. But Tyson's my pup.
Yeah, he's good people.
It's okay, boy.
He's good people.
And so, but that's one thing about the Challenger is that people don't realize that it's kind of like there's an auto tuner in there, and that was one reason why it was so hard for them to crack it, basically. Yeah. And even power.
Right. But you're talking about a different style of tuning too, and this is where guys get hung up and confused. Old school tuning used to be I'm going to twist and tweak, and I'm going to, play with it myself until I get the most out of this bike based on my dyno machine under these conditions. But today we're talking about ECUs that are not crack the throttle demand. They are load rated. They are,
load
how much weight's on the
requests.
motors. So all load and input is more vital now to how the bike is tuned than ever before. So you just made an observation a while back. We're not that different height-wise. We're about an inch or two different in height, but you got me by about, right now I'm about 170, okay, and you're running 230.
Yeah.
We could ride the very same motorcycle and get a different experience from it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
With modern tuning technology, the way it is, my 175-pound body is going to get a different reaction to that motorcycle than your 230-pound body because we're putting a different demand on the bike.
Yeah.
Simple. But again, this is where, and guys get so all over me, and it's not that I don't want to power chase. I love having power, but I want usable real world power. I just don't need an artificially inflated number that tells me I can do this.
That's kind of like I get 195 horsepower at 10,100 RPMs, but I always shift at 4,000.
Right. Yeah. And my 4,500 shift point ruins that. So I'm good. Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm not supposed to hit that red line on the thing that goes like this. Red line means bad.
Red line is
when you want that power, bro. You better get to that red line.
Life begins at the red line.
That's right.
So now we're coming up on a little over an hour here, but I want to, can we back up to a couple of things real quick?
Yeah. What do you got? I haven't taken notes. I haven't done shit.
I came so ill prepared. It's almost scary. But I've been watching what's been going on, and your audience is a great one to ask this of, as long as I'm kind of your guest here. But we've been working on basically 3 behind the scenes projects, with Indian Rider Radio. One, I'm going to do a little travel thing that's really kind of cool. There's 4 locations that we're going to talk about in detail, and I think you're going to like those that we travel to this year. Racing. Last couple of programs, I've had some really high-profile racing people on there from Indian, and the door's been open to do a show specifically about Indian motorcycle racing for a while. I want to do one. I'm going to do one. I just want, what kind of feedback do you guys give? What do you think?
I think it'd be fun. My hard thing is I haven't followed like flat track, and so I'm kind of like learning the sport.
Okay.
I now know who Jared Mees is, and I'm learning who these guys are.
Yeah.
But I didn't exactly know it, right? Hill climbing is another one. I think that's kind of like racing.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never done it.
Okay.
But I think it would be cool.
Yeah. Well, I think that Indian now is beginning to show up in a million different places.
Yeah.
AMA Pro Hill Climb. It's dominant throughout flat track, bagger racing, hooligan racing,
hey, by the way, Bagger Racing League, I think they're going to have one next month in California.
Okay.
And they set up, there's a race now. It's only Sportsters, Sportster S, Pan America, Scout, and Chief. That's it. Those are the only 4 motorcycles allowed in the race. How badass is that race going to be?
And if you want to see what is capable, what these bikes are capable of.
Oh, and I lied. I'm sorry. It wasn't the Chief. It's the FTR. So it's FTR, Scout. It's all the water. It's all the water cooled.
Yeah, liquid cool bikes. Okay.
But dude, that's badass. I can't wait. I almost I was looking at if it was January, I would have probably tried to fly out there, but I'm kind of stuck for this year.
Yeah, but look at what's going on around that racing, with hooligan racing in particular, and really hats off to Roland Sands and his crew from really pushing that forward. Because if you want to see what those spikes are capable of, the FTR 1200, the new version of it, what the Chief looks like in race trim, they have built one. It's really amazing. And to see guys out on bikes that you and I can own and ride, it's just fascinating. But Indian motorcycle is reaching into so many different disciplines now, drag racing and a variety of others, where I think it's time to highlight those guys on those brands doing those things. And that starts, way up at the top with the Indian Wrecking Crew and Jared Mees and Briar Bauman and the guys that ride Indian motorcycles in that AFT Super Twins class, all the way down to the guy who is dragging his Scout to the drag strip on, Friday night.
Yeah,
So
what was that guy in Chicago?
he's in
Chicago?
the Chicago area. It's Brian Connolly Jr.
That's right.
He's associated with Valley Racing. He spends a lot of his time now on a Harley Davidson custom built dragster, but he also now spends about equal amount of time on the Scout that he built, and it's a Scout that you could build. I mean, everything is available. It's
Here,
not anything very
here,
special. It's
I
amazing.
got this for you.
What do you got? Yeah, right.
Could you hear it or no? I booed. I was
No, I think
booing.
I think it's going to be fun. I think guys would dig it. What do you
Yeah,
think?
no, I think that's super cool. I'm all about that. So I'm trying to see how much of this I'm about to talk about. Maybe people will be interested in it.
All right.
You know Moonshine Harley, they are the one that built, well,
They
our
did the
buddy
finishing work
Keith.
on Keith Ray's bike. Yeah.
Yeah, they did the second build per se.
Okay.
They had a drag racing night this fall. They invited me to it, which I'm nobody special. They invited everybody to it.
Yeah.
But they emailed me and they said, hey, well, let's see what your Indian really has. Why don't you come on down? Which you know how hard I tried to make that happen. I'm not lying.
Do not lay that shit at your feet and expect you to not chase it.
Yeah, Curtis. I privately, I told you and I, the hoops I tried to jump through to make that happen.
Yes,
but
I did.
having one in the spring, I don't know. I think, hey, Tim, Lloyd, if you're watching, I'd like to make this drag race if I need a set of cams.
Right. You help the man out. Come on now.
I mean, I'm gonna go there, and it's pretty cool though. They have a drag racing coach, like to coach people, so it's like a safety setup. It's really a cool thing. I'm gonna try to make it down to Moonshine Harley in the spring for their next little setup. But yeah, I'm all about learning how to ride and race and all that fun stuff. I mean, it sounds like a podcast episode, and just calling like RidingFish tries this drag race.
Well, I think it's time, because if you look across what's going on now with motorcycle podcasts, there's still a lot of the guys that are talking travel or adventure riding or even dirt bikes and that kind of thing. There are a lot of them that are motorcycle racing related that are very kind of insider-ish, either hosted by riders or whatever. Some are amazing shows, but they're really, I want to have the opportunity to introduce people to racing venues with Indian motorcycles who may not have been around it before. Guys like you who just now, I mean, you've taken your family down to flat track races and the daughter wants to learn how to do it and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's an episode that there's a whole
there's a whole world behind that.
I got so many things that if it works out perfectly, there'll be some cool things happening in 22. But I don't want to say everything, because I mean, hopefully I'll be on Survivor.
Well, yeah, you're going to be busy when they get you to Fiji. I can tell you that already. Yeah. And let me just editorialize right now. If you guys don't know, Fish here has applied multiple times to be on Survivor, and I think he'd be a great player, not to mention a killer personality to have on that show. If you are watching season 41, tell me these people are asleep at the switch. Huh?
Yeah, I'm a couple weeks back. I told you I'm a little behind because I went out to.
All right, you get caught up. You're gonna hate yourself when you do.
Oh,
just saying. You're gonna get
you know how many times I've watched a season and be like, I got these guys. I would have beaten these guys. I got these.
Right.
I'm not quite physically what I used to be, but I'm not that far away either.
No, you'd be all right. I would be the guy that would be a tribal council and I'd get voted out with a goddamn idol in my pocket. That would be me.
See,
they'd blindside my shit and I'd be walking off there going, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, that'd be tough. Hey, Harry
said, the old guy that took care of that shit. Moving right along.
And I have mine right here.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, make more.
If my dementia wasn't so strong, I'd have remembered to use this against you.
Yeah.
Harry says, hey, I'm excited to see the 108 in a Roadmaster. Hey, man, you're going to have to buy a Challenger with the trunk and the hard lowers to get that. They're not going to change that setup.
Craig, not Naked and Afraid?
No.
Don't even.
No.
Come on.
Do you know Naked and Afraid, they don't even get paid? They don't win money.
No.
Dude, I'm not.
You know I have mimicked that show from day one. I've given that show shit from day one. I don't even call it Naked and Afraid. It's Nude and Scared. That's all it is. You know, it is the
I mean,
worst first blind date you could ever go on.
And a whole bunch of confidence.
Naked and Afraid is the worst first date you could ever go on.
What do we got here? I would love to see you go against Moonshine Harley Crew. Oh man, I really would like. If I can make it work, I'm gonna do it. If any of you guys are in the Tennessee region, I can't remember when it is, but I know you can reach out to them and whatever, and they'll tell you their dates. But if you could make it down there, it looked that first set that they had in the fall, it looked like a lot of fun. Everything went really cool. But yeah, I would love to rep. I'd vlog it, of course. I think that would just be an amazing thing.
Well, I still want to go to a racing school this summer, and I'm trying to figure out where to fit that in and when, because
come to Minnesota and do it with me.
No,
they have that one here in Minnesota.
Now, is it near where the King of the Baggers race is going to be in Brainerd?
They actually so that school, ZARS, ZARS, ZARS Racing, ZARS School, something like that.
School, yeah.
So their school participates in a few different tracks, right? So once you're a part of their school program, you're allowed to go to many places, and Brainerd is one of them.
Okay.
And they also do this one in Rosemont, Minnesota, which is 35 minutes from my house.
Wait, what? Wait,
35 minutes.
So we could go to breakfast and still be the track on time.
Oh, yeah, and have Chipotle delivered for lunch. It's right. It's and and then they also do what's that one? Is it Moto America that's in Wisconsin? What's the big one in Wisconsin?
Yeah, something. God, now you got me.
Yeah, they get together and they do a few different. I think it's Moto America, and they do a few different tracks in the region, but they mostly do, the Minnesota one and Brainerd.
Well, Brainerd is one of the stops this year with the King of the Baggers Tour, so it would be something worth checking out no matter what.
Come in the spring, and we'll go to one of their things. That'd be awesome. We could host it. Heck, I don't know. I'd like to do it anyway. I've been thinking about doing it.
Wait a minute. Hold it. What's this, Craig? Everything sounds cool, but the hill climb. This Florida boy, not so thrilled about climbing heights like that.
Do you surf?
Heaven forbid, man. You guys in Florida, you go over a speed bump, you get nauseous. I don't know what
he's like. I'm a surf, but I'm not surfing Maui.
Jesus, did you feel that? I know it. No, Craig, you would get a big kick out of this because hill climbing is kind of born in the Northeast, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Western New York, some of those areas. And it's always been kind of a very regional thing, but it's a lot of fun. And it's some really gutsy riding. Some of the bikes are nitro powered. They have big mutter tires on them. You got to see it. It's a spectacle. And there was a kid out there called John Kester. John's from Arkport, New York. He rides an FDR and another variety of bikes, but he came off these nitro-powered hill climbers. And trying to get dialed in with the FDR 750 in that configuration has been a little tough for him. He spent a lot of time on his side, not going up the side of the hills so much this past year. But once he gets that dialed in, I think you're going to see a pretty amazing output from a bike that was never intended to go uphill. It's going to be fun.
I watch a lot of those, and it's always amazing, and you kind of get jaded until you see somebody not make it.
Right.
And then you see the fall, and you're like, damn, that must be steep.
Those guys were lucky as hell.
I don't know if I have the kahunas to do. Have you had the chance to do that?
I've never done that. No. I watched it several times. First saw it when I was real young, and it was just fascinating to me. I couldn't believe the guys did that.
Yeah.
But if you want to really know a lot more about pro hill climb, really only one place to go if you're listening to podcasts. That's Nitro and Mud with Brandon Krieger. Brandon's whole family has been very closely associated with AMA Pro Hill Climb for years. He's a walking encyclopedia of its history. So Brandon Krieger, Nitro and Mud, wherever you find your favorite pods. I think he has a YouTube channel up now too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have enough kahunas. I mean, I just haven't played off-road. My off-road is not
right. Yeah.
I haven't done it a lot. So, but you know what? I'm stupid. Yeah. Once you get me going, it doesn't take me long to be like, okay, I'm starting to get comfy. I'm starting to
my motorcycle experience is not done. It's far from done. And I know that, you know, there's so many things that I've wanted to do over the years I never had the chance to do, and or experiences I had on bikes I want to relive, things I want to do again.
Yeah.
And so now it's kind of fun to go back and see these things and experience them all over again for the first time. So yeah, I want to go flat track racing again. Yes, I'd like to get together with somebody who has a speedway racetrack that I could get on and hang around with a little bit.
Come flat track racing school with me. Dude, I have all this stuff planned.
Well,
you have to come to me this time.
All right. Well, I know how to get to Minnesota now.
Yeah. I got a place for you. You know that.
Well, I came up. Yeah, right. Yeah, I came up from the South last time. I'll figure it out.
So last question, I promise. Hey, dude, we got a little while left before we bail. You can ask whatever you want.
Okay.
How was that clutch pull so light on the Challenger? And you pointed out in the Roadmaster Limited compared to the Harley clutch. So that's called what they're calling it, the clutch assist easy pull or something like that.
Easy pull clutch assist.
Yeah. I know exactly how it is. It's made with fairy dust and magic.
Oh, yeah. Because I was going to say somebody rubbed unicorn shit on it, but I guess that's not it.
Dude, I don't know. I think it's what's it? Centrifugal force or whatever. I think it's some. No, that wouldn't make sense because it's not really easy. I don't know.
Well, a good share of it has to do with what the engagement rate and distance is for the clutch itself, right?
But it pulls is what he's talking about. It's
the clutch pull itself is think of it like a compound bow. It has a system in it where when you pull a compound bow back the first few inches, it's a little tough, then it opens right up. Okay. Yeah. Much the same. Once you start to engage that clutch, it opens and there it is. Okay, it's got that same effect. It's got a system in it that lets go a little bit easier so that when you're finally gripping, you're not death gripping to have the clutch engaged.
Yeah. I wrote a sport old, like a 95 Sportster last weekend.
Okay.
A friend of mine, when I was out in California, he goes, "Hey, I just got my Sportster up and running. You want to check it out?" And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll rip a burnout and scare the shit out of you. I'm about to drop your bike." My first thing was, holy crap. Like, it takes some forearm juice to get that bad boy pulled in.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how hard that pull was on that.
Well, why do you think those old scooter tramps run around with a left arm that looks like Popeye and the rest of them is falling apart? That's exactly why. Yeah, right.
God, I was like getting forearm pump and shit. I'm like, dude, have you ever drove a manual and you get stuck in traffic and like your left foot's like on fire? And that's how I was pulling out of his garage. I couldn't believe it.
This is brutal. What am I doing?
Man? I couldn't believe it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I had one of the problems that my Elite Noirs get looked at while I was in there. Not just did I had a bad ring is what happened, is why I was losing power on it. It wasn't seating properly. But we also found that it wasn't engaging in gear quite properly either, and coming in and out of gear. And some of that was clutch engagement. And I think that there's, it depends again on what you came up with, what you got used to, because some days that clutch on my bike feels just buttery smooth. Other days, whether it's cold or cranky or whatever, it's like, oh, what? You're asking a lot of me this morning.
Yeah.
But the bike does fall right into place and rides out so nice now. It's amazing, man. That 116. And of course they do the whole thing. They went and did, push rods, everything's been improved. All springs are done. Clutch is done. It's really.
Did you go with an Indian clutch or did you get a Barnett or what did you do?
I think it's the Indian one. Honest to God, I didn't go that deep. In fact, I got to look at the repair order to even find out. But I know that we weren't going to just walk out of there with it kind of half put together. Yeah. I'm excited about that bike. You guys are going to see it once these final few pieces are put on it. I can't wait, man. It's going to be cool.
I told you I told you and I have talked about, now everybody else, a RidingFish review I want to do on your little bike.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's Harry says he rode them all and the Indian clutch is so light. Yeah. Especially the new ones, 100%.
Yeah.
And the HD hydraulic is a bear in traffic.
Yeah. It really is. And it's funny because it shouldn't be. You should be able to engage a hydraulic clutch and it should just kind of feel closed in your hand. Mm-hmm. Nope. It feels like you really have to hold it there.
And by the way, I think it was the 20s and 21s. They went away from it. They are now all cable clutches.
Yeah. Well, because again, the point that Harry's making here is that in traffic, in clutch engagement was so short. The sweet spot in it was not one you could use effectively. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I mean, if you're one like us who, you want to use that whole sweet spot, you want to have that whole clutch to your advantage, that wasn't there with the hydraulics. You didn't have the kind of sense of feel that they had. It
Okay.
was one of the questions I answered immediately when people would come to first taking looks at Indian motorcycles, let's say in 14, 15 early days. They'd walk across the street from the Harley store and go, "How come it's got this simple old pull, cable clutch?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you ridden the other one?
Yeah.
Do you know what that feels like? And it just provides a lot more, I want to say, manageability for the motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have very minimal, next to zero hydraulic clutch. I think I jumped on one of the road glides or something once, but I was just like I'm moving it from a gas station to a gas stop.
Yeah, and it seems like it should be a great idea. It should be a no-brainer. A hydraulic clutch should make perfect sense. But so much of clutch accentuation is feel.
Yeah.
How that works for you in the control of the motorcycle. It took that away.
I think it works better in a car.
Oh yeah,
because you don't have it's not as you're moving such a bigger thing that the jerk isn't as the same.
Less feel, less finesse. Yeah, less feel, less finesse. So anyway, thanks for hooking me up tonight. Glad you did.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get this show back on the road. These first few shows will be a little sporadic in timing till we figure out what we're doing. I think
because I'm going to be finally in a place where I can set up my studio. You guys have no idea how difficult this has been. When every time I want to do anything, I have to set up everything up. I have to take it all out of the boxes and set it up again. Having a studio space where I can have all these things done and put together is going to be really nice. That's coming in just the next week or so. Once I've got that set up, then we can start planning on these things so that I'm not kind of pulling them out of my bag, last minute, so that we can talk about some of this stuff. I do appreciate the opportunity, though, to come on and talk about this 2022 release, because I really feel strongly that this was kind of a pacifier. It's the basic stuff, and that the big announcement for 2022 and the direction that Indian's going to go is yet to be seen. And I think we're all going to like it. I think we're all going to be surprised, frankly.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they're bringing the victory stuff back. Hey, my victory boys, I know you guys like the Challenger. Now we got your orange for you. We got that.
Yeah.
We got that red.
Right. We're going to reach back into this bag where we know you guys live, and we're going to bring it right back out at you. And who could blame them?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm a victory guy.
I mean, I
appreciate it.
Yeah. I was always disappointed I never actually owned one. I rode lots of them.
Yeah.
Always had a sweet spot for victory bikes. So it is exciting, because keep in mind that how far down the innovation trail they were by the time Indian came available, and when they were able to put the pen and ink and put that deal together. Yeah, it must have stung a little bit to have to slow that roll a little bit,
Oh, it did. And then it hurt all the victory guys, their feelings were hurt, and some of them still are. And
some,
yeah. But I'll tell you, so the guy that bought my victory Magnum, he still rides it. We actually became friends on Facebook. He lives in Michigan, but I have instructed him, if he ever goes to sell it, I get first.
Yeah. Call you first.
I'm not saying I'll buy it. I'm not saying I can afford it, but I'm definitely saying I want the shot. You think Victory will come back, or does it say parts for 2028 and we'll do on them? So I think Victory's back under the Indian logo, man. That's what I really think. They're not going to bring back the Victory badge. That's not coming back.
No, the Victory badge.
No,
it's synonymous anymore with, for all intents and purposes, a marketing failure. But what you're looking at now is it's a reimaging and a rebranding of what Indian Motorcycle is going forward. And I think if we had been reading between the lines sooner, we would have recognized that that's what Polaris wanted to do all along, is they wanted to take what they were already successful with and understood and wanted to do, and had finally gotten themselves wrapped around. And all of a sudden, here comes this opportunity now to own this iconic brand. Okay. And so they had to retreat a little bit, and they were only willing to retreat for so long. Okay. As evidenced today, the bike that put Indian Motorcycle back on the map in 2013 and 14 is no longer in that lineup.
Dude. Blood pressure. Watch your blood pressure.
I'll be on medication soon. I don't give a shit. You know,
You're gonna thank you, Indian motorcycle. You're getting some cardiac issues over here.
no,
You don't even own a vintage.
don't have to.
You
That's
can't
what
be.
it stood for. It's not about what the bike is, whether or not I would own one.
Well,
And I
that's
would.
what I'm. See, here's the thing. That's the problem. Everybody loved the Ford Pintos, but nobody bought them. They're not going to keep them around. Oh, they're so cool to look at.
Let me just give you a little example here. Maybe it's just the way I did things, but I couldn't keep an Indian vintage on the floor in a dealership. We sold those hand over fist. Didn't matter what color it was. Didn't matter where it came from.
So if it was their number one selling bike,
Yeah,
it would still be being sold. There has to be.
it's not by far. It's not. Because the guys that really wanted one bought one. Okay?
Right.
All right. There comes a point where there's a diminishing return on building something like that. Okay?
So here's the thing. This is what first of all, we don't know they're not making one. We've established that they might come out in the spring and we may not know. I mean,
all right.
Right? Maybe.
Okay. And you got a future as an attorney. Keep on.
First.
Yeah,
Second, if they're not making one,
okay,
maybe they need to move the vintage aside on the assembly line because they still have the one plant in Spirit Lake, Iowa, so they can roll the Pursuit through.
Correct. That's exactly why.
That's exactly why.
Yeah. It's a production thing. When you had to retool, you had to retool to build a Chief. Okay. You don't want to maximize your line on multiple bikes because, again, the Springfield and the Vintage were being built on the same platform over the last few years, right?
Yep.
If I'm still going to build that classic Springfield, I might as well utilize the rest of my opportunity someplace else. And full well that, I think I sent them to you. We're not going to burst anybody's bubble by saying this. The VIN codes are out for a bike called the Pursuit, and it's going to be in multiple trim levels, and it's going to be different, and it's going to be something that I say puts Indians' flag in the ground as to where they're going and what they're doing with this new motor. Okay. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't do that if they didn't have good reason to think that this is the bike we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
At least they're willing enough. They're willing enough to take guys like us. Well, I say us, the heritage customer, the original old school guy. And now, granted, I'm kind of on the edge of that. I'm 60 and I like to ride a little different than those cats. But my demographic might buy one or two more bikes in our entire lifetime over the next 20 years. Okay. They don't want me. They want the guy that's going to buy the next 10 bikes over his lifetime.
Yeah.
That's the guy they want. And
I said, I'm just standing by the point that if that vintage was their number 2 or 3 number selling bike,
they'd probably still be there.
They would still be there, And it's kind of like Chevy Corvettes don't make manuals no more because nobody was buying them. Right. I don't want to own one that's an automatic.
Right.
But I wasn't the one buying it. I'm not buying any of them. No. They're not keeping them around just for me.
No, it's retirees.
So
it's for retirees. The pickleball champion should drive a Corvette. If you're in the 55 and older group and, the best guy in the foursome, the pickleball champion, he should be the guy that rides a Corvette. Yeah, that's how that is.
I mean, I'm a Corvette
guy. His bad
guy.
knees and his arthritis aren't going to let him do that.
I'm a Corvette guy, and I want a manual.
All right. Well, you can manually push the button and call this done. Harry, local, so many guys, thank you so much for dropping in. I'm going to plug the podcast one more time, dude. I've got 2 back-to-back shows that are really killer. The first one...
Stop.
What?
I'll plug the podcast.
Go, do it.
Sometimes it's like, hey, I'm the cook in the kitchen, and it's the best thing. Hey, guys, I haven't heard the most recent podcast because it's not out yet. If you want early release to the newest podcast I will be dropping this week, you can go to Patreon, become a Patreon member, get early release. And if you haven't heard last week's podcast, it's about racing. He had Mr. Mizon, the flat track racer, holding the number 1 plate, and Tyler O'Hare, which we already know, King of the Baggers. It was an interesting interview because he talks a little bit about the size of that motor, but Mr. Sawyer here doesn't get into it at all.
Nope. I totally. Right over that.
I think it went over your head till you maybe you're editing the show or something.
In the moment it did, because I'd heard about the SNS kit and I'd heard about some of the stuff that other people are building for the Challenger.
Yeah.
there's a couple of companies out there right now that are right on the cusp of pushing some out the door along those same lines. So in the moment, in the course of the conversation, I went, oh, of course he's running a 112. Keep talking.
Yeah.
And then we got in there a little ways and went, wait a minute. They've been telling us they've been running the 108 with the stage. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I
thought it was interesting conversation. Go listen to it. He talks a little bit about when he cut the deal to be a King of the Bagger race that he wanted to go flat track racing to.
Yep.
So the most recent episode 74, season 3, episode 74, 75 is dropping this week. Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 74 is out now. 75 will be this weekend. And we talk a lot about the all new Durango Rendezvous. That being back after a couple of years of being canceled and COVID, casualty, which we already talked about a little bit earlier, but Maggie Valley, this one, it's going to be a cost, flip a coin.
This is how I feel about that.
Really amazing. Yeah. They're going to be amazing.
on that timing, that's how I felt. I don't know, but yeah, so go check it out. It's a great show. Curtis, thanks for being on.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Hey, while I have your audience right here, guys, any of you guys got YouTube channels or anybody that I'm happy to do guest spots for you. I have all the time in the world to call me.
I say, fuck that. You're not allowed to steal my podcaster. All right,
fair enough.
I don't know. I'm not going on to other people's podcasts.
Yeah.
Then again, 5 Dirty Barkers never called me. I probably would.
The one I want to get on, and I know we'll never do it. There's 2 actually. I would love to be a guest on. I'd love to be a guest on Tank Slapping Podcast with Corey Texter. Okay? Yep. He's the AFT American Flat Track Pro Twins class champion. It's just production twins. He's an amazing rider. The other one is I'd love to be on that SNS show. SNS Cycle has got their performance podcast.
Yep.
I'd love to sit and talk to Dave Zemla and those guys. I mean, that's like sitting around shooting the shit with a bunch of dudes that know way more than you do about engines and development and that kind of thing. I would love to try it.
Man, when I've sat around and I talked to Ryan Randall and Lloyd, and you start to like hear the expertise coming out, it's pretty incredible. I mean, those guys are just masters. And there's a guy, Bruce, matter of fact, he's part of building a Challenger for King of the Baggers coming up. And him and I have talked a little bit about the Challenger, and I can't talk too much about it because he asked me not to, but just like these guys, these experts, it's a pretty incredible when you can get into an ear, or you can lend them your ear to hear what these experts can do and say and what they think. And it really starts to blow your mind,
Well, the longer I sat around up there at Lloyd's throughout the Sturgis, the thing that spoke to me over and over again is that these guys, you didn't throw them a curve. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Something happened and they walked right up to it, looked at it, and went, oh, well, this and this. This is what you do.
I watched Lloyd install his 131 cubic inch into that Thunderstroke. I watched him. I hung out.
Yeah.
I tried not to be in the way, but it was incredible just watch these guys work, because you got to heat up something, got to freeze something, you got to put them together. It's just, anyway, it's really cool. And so, I could see why you'd want to be on that SNS show. And I think I'd fit right in on that 5 Dirty Bikers podcast. I'm just saying, I can get raunchy.
Yeah. I think you'd be a great fit for that show. No question about it. I mean, I would love to stop in on those guys. Hopefully this summer when Brian Remington comes out to spend some time in Durango, he and I can hang out a little more. We got to connect back in May.
I bet you and Brian can hang out in Daytona, because usually Brian goes to Daytona.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's only,
and he has connections in King of the Baggers too. So, and I'm part of Indian Rider Radio.
We're going to piggyback you. You have a multiple length of, you would not believe what your job description looks like. By the way, when I send you in as for press passes, you do all of it, frankly.
Just put bullshit.
I don't even know I'm there.
I'll just make everybody think I'm supposed to be there.
Description. I say I have one word. It's 4 letters. Host. Description. Yours goes down about 3/4 of a paragraph.
Be careful, because host is in there. I'll scratch out the co-host part and I'll try to take over. Be careful.
I'll have to do the rest of this shit. Walk away. Well, no. Well, you've got a big year planned. You and I are going to connect in a lot of different places, I hope, throughout the summer. And this
I
winter,
think
let's
we
get
can do
busy.
better this year in
Oh yeah,
22 than we did in 21.
I know we can.
Let's try to make that the goal, right? So
Yeah,
let's you and I, Indian Rider Radio, honestly, and I've told you this, and I'll tell the crew this, is like Curtis and I are good enough friends that
yeah.
I've told Curtis, you know what, man, let's just go fucking ride and not take a camera. We don't even need to take a podcast.
Nope.
Let's meet some of the, if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook or however you follow us, YouTube, you find out where we're at.
Yep.
We'd like to maybe ride and not vlog everything. Let's just ride and hang out. I'd love to do that because you and I, one thing we do, and I catch myself doing it, is I'm vlogging and I'm trying to like capture these moments, and it kind of takes me away sometimes. But when I edit it, I'm back into it, which is kind of a different thing that nobody ever talks about. The editing process is kind of fun because you're reliving it. But I wouldn't mind doing even that.
Oh, no, not at all.
Of course, I want to do work things. I think it'd be amazing. The stuff that we can do together, I think, is super fun. But
this year I'm excited about not being on the road to do the things I want to do. And that's not to say that I won't show up in places with the RV, but they'll be much more well planned so I can arrive in time to be there and hang out and spend some time and not be as hard pressed. And then I'm going to incorporate stuff that I can ride to, that I can go ride and enjoy the time, because in hindsight, looking across this entire experience that I went through over the entire year now, some of the best times were just sitting down with other riders. And that's why I want the podcast to kind of gravitate back more toward that, meeting riders, meeting events, meeting some of the people they're integral to Indian motorcycle, and then separating out my travel stuff and the racing stuff so that it can stand alone and talk to the people it's supposed to talk to. So yeah, I want to have more hands-on this year.
It was funny as when Jeff Baca invited me, and him and IMRG Kansas City invited me down to Maggie Valley.
Yeah.
He said, well, you can stay wherever you want, but this is where we're staying. And he like sent me the link, and I was like, all right, I'll stay where you guys are staying. I don't care. And he goes, yeah, because it'll be fun to go back, sit around a table, have a couple of beers, and tell a bunch of lies.
Yeah, tell a bunch of lies. Yeah. And there is something very cool about that. That's what I enjoyed at Pigeon Forge for Thunder Union through the Smokies. That's what I'm looking forward to in Durango, because this has that big little feel, it's what I'm looking forward to with all these events. And this year, yes, I want to make sure I go and cover the racing venues the way I want to cover them. And that's important to me. But more importantly, it's going to be get out and just meet more people again. You and I have talked about it from the beginning. In order to grow the community, you got to go shake hands. So let's go find these folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of which, along those same lines, I'll share this. We are now already, believe it or not, getting inquiries about dealership appearances.
No.
If you guys want to have Indian Rider Radio come and do a dealership appearance for you, there are some things that I need to go over with you. So reach out to me and find out if it's something that we can do, and when you would want something like that to happen. And then I can drag him along with me too.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go.
Okay. So we have sat still now for 1 hour and 48 minutes, and my right leg has told me that it's gone to sleep.
Cool. So that was probably that cardiac that you had earlier.
Yeah. I can't get up.
Smile, right? I don't know, whatever. Just as long as you're not stroking out, we're good.
Yeah, that aneurysm is, I've held that at bay a while. It's not good.
All right, we're out of here then.
All right. Fish, thank you so much. Say hi to the family, and of course, keep the minnow riding. And you guys, thank you for supporting the show and being so helpful. We got so many cool things going on. Gosh, Alligator Bob is giving stuff away again. We're going to have prizes to give away. 60 Helmets has got some stuff for you. Just stick around. We're going to have fun this winter.
All right, cool. We will definitely check out Indian Rider Radio.
All right, dude. Hey, and if you're not subscribing to his YouTube channel, what the hell is your problem?
Yeah.
Christ.
All right, man.
Already.
All right.
I got to go, boss.
All right. See you, buddy. All right, guys. Hey, that was it. After Hours, season 2. I don't know. Should we call that season 2? I think we can call it kickoff of season 2. Hey, man, I really want to thank everybody. Dave, Garrett, Kyle, Harry, Loco. I mean, everybody that seriously came in. Salty. AB was here at the beginning of the day. Big Gabe's here. I appreciate all you guys. As always, sticking around. You guys are still here. Hey, we got some fun stuff planned. I really do. Yeah, that's it. I appreciate all you guys. I'm going to end this like I always do. I want you to ride hard, ride fast, say hi to somebody you don't know. Peace. Oh, yeah, that's awkward. Peace.